Welcome to my complete guide of the badminton Yonex strings. In this video, I'll be looking at all the different badminton strings that Yonex has to offer and what their characteristics are. I wanted to make sure this video is as accurate as possible to help you guys if you're going to pick a badminton string. Just a quick reminder to subscribe to the channel, thank you. Yonex markets their badminton strings into one of three categories. These are strings designed for control, durability and repulsion power. This allows players to choose a string that benefits their playstyle and also their badminton goals. The control strings are aimed to allow you to have more feel of the shuttlecock, since the string is designed to allow you to have more hold onto the shuttle when you play the shot. Durability strings are generally thicker and are ideal for players that want their strings to last longer before they snap. The quick repulsion strings are basically the opposite and are usually the thinnest. Repulsion power generally means the power that is generated when the shuttle bounces off the head of the racket. The higher the repulsion power, the faster your shots will be. There are strings that are the far extreme of these characteristics, and then there are of course strings that are very well balanced. You can see what I mean here in this graph. The green strings are designed for control, the yellow for durability, and the blue are for quick repulsion. For each string that Yonex does, they will provide 5 properties on a bar chart. The 3 that I just mentioned, as well as hitting sound and shock absorption. The hitting sound is how well the strings sound when you hit the shuttlecock clearly. Shock absorption is how well the strings help to absorb the vibrations caused by the shot. There are 3 main things that will have such a big factor that you need to consider when you are picking a badminton string. The first thing is how thick the badminton string is. Let's first look at thinner badminton strings. These would be strings such as the Yonex Aerosonic strings, the new X-Bolt 63 and the BG66 Ultimax. A thinner string will mean that you can generate more power on your shots. You will create a better hitting sound, but they will have less durability. Thicker strings such as the BG65 and the Nanaji strings will have the opposite effect and usually generate less power. However, they have more durability and are more forgiving, which is better for beginners, and they also can offer great control. There are also hybrid strings, such as the Aerobite and Aerobite Boost strings. These consist of 2 different types of strings, one for the main string, which is thicker, and a thinner string for the crosses. In the Aerobite strings, the mains, which are strings going up the racket, are 0.67mm, while the crosses are much thinner at 0.61mm. The main string is usually the string that breaks when you snap a string, so therefore by it being thicker, it will help the durability of the string. A lot of people like the feeling of a hybrid string, and it can have some of the benefits of both a thicker and thinner string. The Aerobite string is a great choice for players that love to have a great balance between control and repulsion power. The biggest disadvantage of the Aerobite string is that despite the fact that the main string is thicker, they still won't be that durable compared to other strings such as the BG65 Ti and the BG80. The second really important factor to consider when you look to choose a string is how hard or soft the string feels. So what is the difference between hard and soft strings? It all comes down to the material used to make the string and the coating that it has. Softer strings tend to feel more bouncy and stretchy. There is more movement to the string on contact with a shuttle. They can have a rubbery feeling to them too. Hard strings feel very solid and rigid without bending much. For example, the BG65 Ti has a titanium coating which has a very hard feeling. A lot of players prefer the feeling of hitting the shuttlecock when it's coming off a hard, solid surface. It can help provide more feedback when you make contact with the shuttle, which can be beneficial if you are playing softer shots. Another advantage of using harder feeling strings is that they can provide great repulsion power if you have a good technique. With softer strings, some players prefer the feel. This is because the materials are often better at gripping the shuttle, and since they like to stretch more, it means that you're holding onto the shuttle for that extra bit longer. Softer strings are easier to use for beginners because they are more forgiving and can feel more comfortable to play with. If we look at some examples that Yonex has, harder feeling strings would be the Aerobite Boosts, the BG65 Ti, the BG80 and the BG80 Powers. Medium to low feeling strings would be the BG65, the Skyarc, the Nanaji 99 and the BG66 Force strings. The last thing you need to consider once you have decided on the string is the tension that you want them to be strung at. Here you can see a table to reflect on what string tension is ideal for your badminton level. This is important to think about when choosing a string tension. The most important thing to note when comparing a high tension to a low one is that a low tension means that the string bed will have more bounce. This means it's easier to generate power, but it will also mean you will sacrifice control and accuracy, since the strings will be less predictable when it bounces. With a high tension, you get that control, but you can also get a lot of repulsion power if you hit the sweet spot of the racket. However, a higher tension requires you to be more consistent, since the sweet spot will be smaller compared to a lower tension. You also have to consider that the durability will be worse on a higher tension. You can see here a table on Ashway's website that shows how the string tension and thickness of a string both combine together to affect the control, durability and power. This is quite generic and doesn't apply to every string and every player, but it's a pretty good overall comparison. It shows that if you just want power, a thin gauge and a looser tension will create the best results. For control, a thicker gauge and a tighter tension, and then for durability, it's best to have a thick gauge and a looser tension. So overall then, what badminton string do I recommend? I'm going to break it down into what you prefer in a string. In my opinion, if I wanted to buy a badminton string with high repulsion power, I would buy the new X-Bolt 63, or perhaps the BG80 if you like a harder feeling string. For a badminton racket designed for control, I would go for the Yonex Aerobite strings. Then finally for durability, I would pick the BG65 TIs. They are also one of Yonex's most popular badminton strings. That's it for this guide on the Yonex Badminton strings. Let me know in the comments what strings you guys have and your experiences using them. Please subscribe to the channel and like the video if you found the video helpful. Thank you for watching and have an awesome day.